So yeah, what is this business, right? What actually is PTW? So sometimes I don't know myself. So, when I started PTW, it was 2018. I was doing government contracting. I was doing proposals. Let me back up a little bit. The U.S. federal government is the largest buyer on the planet. They spend over trillions of dollars a year. Here's just some stats of it. So my value proposition is I help companies targeting federal government contracting work how to win. When I started PTW, it originally stood for price to win. So when I started working my first time as a side hustle doing some 1099 money, unbeknownst to my employer, I was bored, underutilized. I was like, hey, I have some time and bandwidth. I had an opportunity. I took it. They were like, you're the price to win guy. You're the price to win guy. And I'm like, WTF is the price to win guy. Let me go figure that out because I knew pricing, I knew contracts, but I didn't know what that really meant. Business is an evolution, as we know. So bottom line is when I get a client, I would do everything I can to figure out what they're trying to do, the work they're trying to target, and how we can approach that in a systematic way for them to maximize their chances of success. Here's a little bit about the process. This is still kind of moving around, but I kind of like playing with the P letters. So people, process, perspective, pricing, products. This is kind of the roundabout way of the general process. So we look at what a company's doing. We assess that marketplace. We research potential customers and potential big players in that space. We kind of hone out their value proposition, scope out the competitive environment and figure out if it makes sense for them to try to get a prime contract as a direct to the federal government or as a subcontractor, leveraging a small women-owned, veteran-owned, hub zone socioeconomic status. The government is obligated, and they flow those down to large businesses that are obligated to subcontract up to 23% to smalls, 5% to veterans and women's, and so on. So this is talking about visions that Joe was bringing up. When I started PTW in 2018, I had a vision that I was going to create a SaaS product off of this. I had, various access to some expensive SaaS products that did market intelligence, direct labor analysis, and things like that. So me being kind of a curious guy and again, underutilized, I was literally watching YouTubes on how to do data visualizations, how to get better at data analytics and big data, and still have so much to learn. However, kind of breaks it down like this. So the federal government is not a monolith, right? The biggest aspect of this is there's one federal government, but it's broken down into 99 different parts. Think like FDA, USDA, GSA. All of those things kind of roll up into the federal government, but your specific customers, there's over 6,600 of them. Okay, so each one of those has different kind of patterns, tactics, and things that they do. So this is a little, I don't want to get too far into this because I know I don't have a lot of time. So I've been doing this for 4 years now. I took a year off. When I started PTW, again, I had visions of a SaaS product. But honestly, my first goal was to get the heck out of DC and be able to feel like confident, support myself to, control my financial future as well as my family's. That was a big thing when, I was working 12, 16-hour days for some people and then only to get laid off when the business went down. Real frustrating, really humbling, and glad for that experience. So my biggest challenge right now is to try to get off of the hourly rate type of agreements and get more into like because having an inconsistent cash flow from month to month has been a little bit nerve-wracking and stressful, at least. But one of the things that's important, and I'm very good at getting data from other people. It's very hard for me to look in the mirror and have myself, be accountable and instill that discipline in me. It's something I'm a work in progress. I'm human. But I view it as important as, the number of customers and the number of revenues are very correlated. But again, I try to figure out ways to make sure my client's getting the best value from me. And if it's not from me, it's from someone I can refer them to once I get an understanding of what they're looking for. The NACE code, this is kind of, so through the help of Jack Fleming, who's my web guy, we've developed an app that basically takes an industry code, which is how the SBA quantifies what at the macro sense in industry. And so every one of those codes has different industry standards, like average revenues, average payrolls, average firms in the space have 15 years of that data that kind of can track whether industry is growing or not growing. I will call that phase 1A of the SaaS product I'm ultimately trying to build. This is kind of a random slide, but there's different socioeconomic categories under small business, and there's different kind of avenues of pursuit for those type of business opportunities. The government procurement process, there's a guy I follow on LinkedIn. He basically says that federal government is not a mystery, it's a process. I firmly believe that. If you understand, when I was going into my business, I did, federal government services. I'm trying to get more clarity in specifically what I'm doing, because I found I was wasting some time with clients that I didn't really know how to help them. So what dawned on me is I'm an expert in the process, right? There's the acquisition Bible, the federal acquisition regulations. I know how to get smart on specific pieces of that, and I've lived and breathed it for my over 2 decades of experience in DC doing exactly that, helping companies get federal government money. SAM.gov is kind of where it's all at. It's the one-stop shop for a company that registered to do business with the government. So I've mined data out of this. There's 778,000 or so different companies registered to do business. As an example, in North Carolina, there are 22,000 companies that have been registered, but only 12,000 are getting that money. So again, I can take, that perspective that Joseph was talking about, from a super high level satellite, right? Take a really good snapshot of the market and then get way down in the weeds to go, okay, there's 100K going to the VA, there's 50K coming from USDA in the work that you're trying to target, whether that be, cleaning, janitorial services, rocket engineering, and the government buys literally everything. One of the things that's been good for me is to seek out other companies that have similar philosophies in a sense. So here's some of the partners I have. MyGovTrax, UnionNet, Petrie, FedMine, and FedCompass are all SaaS products that I'm on a referral basis. Sometimes I can use their product for free. Sometimes I have to pay. They want me to pay them, but we do like a lot of cross-promotional marketing, things like that. I have several other ones in the works that I'm really excited about. But I think for me, it's about time to really assess my ROI in that in terms of time, expense, and kind of focus. So I feel like I have a few of them that are very similarly aligned, and I need to kind of cut bait and go deeper on one, if that makes sense. This is just kind of a chart of when I started the business in 2018. I made about 4 times my salary in 1 month, doing one project. It took a long time, a lot of stressful nights, but it paid off. So again, starting that vision in there, I took a break when I moved to Wilmington from 2019 to 2020, but things have really kind of taken off this year. That enabled me. I went from like 1 to 2 clients a month on average, or 1 on average probably, to 6 or 7 about February, March timeframe. And then I put the numbers together, had a situation at work where I was like, you know what, this is 80% of my headaches. I'm only doing this on a part-time. So, I had a frank discussion with my spouse and was like, I think we can do this, and had faith and took that leap. So numbers are looking pretty good. Here's some of the other kind of products I'm tinkering with. So my biggest challenge is getting away from that hourly rate model to sell more products. So I can sell like a file for $4,000 and, put in a few hours on it. I'm not changing, I'm getting rates of like $150 to $215 an hour. So I don't have to work many hours to make the targets that I need. But again, it's still a pain to exchange those hours, because I struggle with, if I'm not sitting at my desk physically doing the work, but I'm walking around thinking about that problem that they're having, is that really an hour that I should charge? I don't know. I don't like dealing with that. So I'd rather go with, let me base my pricing off of value and the result that I bring you, rather than, the time that I consume doing it. Here's just some other kind of stuff I put together to give you an idea of, federal government spending at that very high level. Again, another kind of the SaaS product I'm trying to do, ultimately the purpose is to do price estimating using government sources, public data sources. And I've viewed that when I propose rates to the government, I have to have a valid determination of where I came up with those rates. Like if I don't have Joe's salary, if I don't have John's pay stub, What do? Do I make it up? No, I go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, pull some data, tell a story about why I'm using that, how it relates, and a lot of the scrutiny that the government officials provide. They're like, where did you get this data? And my experience has been, you use their own data back at them, they love that. Because that's just been my experience, and that's the story, I'm sticking to it. So that's it. Again, Jon Barker, PTW Solutions, happy to entertain any questions. Thank you for your time.
So John, is it scaling that you're trying to do now? Or it's just
Yeah, it is scaling because I do outsource some things when I do have bandwidth issues. I've been, again, trying to pivot more into, one of the things I did mention is, I'm doing a lot of social media stuff. So I'm trying to package content into courses. So someone can download those courses. I'll partner with another industry expert on something that I'm not as fluent in, and then try to, put that on a